Okay, hello everyone and welcome to Real Opinions, and today I'm going to have a bit of a rant. It's about something that I've wanted to get off my chest for quite a while, and recent events have kind of given me a platform to do so. It kind of sparked a discussion that I've been wanting to happen for quite some time. And that is about the place that Rotten Tomatoes has in film culture, and how people use Rotten Tomatoes, and how people treat Rotten Tomatoes and talk about Rotten Tomatoes. So obviously this has all been sparked by Suicide Squad. The film has been controversial, to say the least, and it has sparked debate on everything from its gender issues, to its editing, to its soundtrack, to the potential production problems, to the screen time of the Joker, to just everything, with the trailers misadvertising, blah, blah, so much anger. And I don't know about you, but this year has felt like a year where summer blockbusters have had more anger than usual directed at them or around them. Think about it, we had Ghostbusters, and then we had Batman v Superman. I remember when these films used to come out and talking about them was fun, and now it is just a storm of hate and contempt and just sides. You're a misogynist if you don't like it. You're disrespecting the original if you do. Batman v Superman was great and the critics are biased. No, it wasn't. Just so much anger and hate. And it has made talking about films a lot harder and a lot less enjoyable. And just when you thought it was kind of safe to go back into the comment sections of YouTube, Suicide Squad came out. And it dared to provoke a difference of opinion again. And it's exhausting. It's just exhausting. And one of the biggest controversies has obviously been to do with Rotten Tomatoes. So for those who don't know, basically a petition was started by a DC fan suggesting that we shut down Rotten Tomatoes because of the bad reviews and the bad overall score on Rotten Tomatoes that Suicide Squad got. So it was basically the gist, if I understand it right, was that critics have some inbuilt contempt for DC. They are prejudiced, they have a negative disposition towards DC before the films have even come out, and they will give DC films bad reviews irrespective of their actual quality, and therefore their reviews should not count on Rotten Tomatoes because they're biased reviews. The argument being that people, the public, might not give films a chance, they might not go see films because critics are biased and that their reviews might turn them off. And they were saying, shut down Rotten Tomatoes because of this, because people shouldn't be turned away from Suicide Squad based on biased reviews. Which is ridiculous, the thought that people would not see Suicide Squad because of reviews. It's not like it's had a massive opening weekend or anything. It's not like people would just see this number and just go like, nope, I'm not seeing this film I was properly hyped for. But, nonetheless, there's been a lot of controversy about this petition. A lot has been written about it. A lot has been said about it. And in particular, I found that a lot of it was actually kind of insulting and condescending towards, fan culture. I think there was a lot of people saying, ooh, all comic book fans are petulant crybabies. Based on the actions of this small group, we're all immature and can't handle criticism of our precious source material, which I don't think is true. I don't think that's really fair. I think there's some justification for saying that. For a start, this petition was ridiculous. I mean, to say that critics have some kind of inbuilt negative disposition towards DC is totally out there and ridiculous. I mean, The Dark Knight did go down quite well with critics. They did quite like The Dark Knight, and in general, the whole Dark Knight trilogy. And maybe the last few DC films just weren't that great. Maybe that was what it was, they just weren't that great. Moreover, this petition got, a ridiculous amount of signatures before the film had even gone on release. So it was when films get upvoted on IMDb with 10 out of 10, before they've even been released, because the fans just want this number to be higher. It was like that. People were just signing this petition without seeing Suicide Squad. For all they knew, the critics were right. But no, we're signing this petition. And it felt a little stubborn. It was definitely silly. I mean, I wanted to love this film. I really thought Suicide Squad could be one of my favourite films of all time. I really thought this is exactly what I want from a comic book movie. But when the negative reviews came out, I didn't go, well, these critics are idiots. I hadn't seen the film yet. Then, there's the problem. Rotten Tomatoes doesn't actually have an opinion of its own. They don't write reviews. They just collate them together from certified individuals and form a consensus based on these reviews. So attacking Rotten Tomatoes for Suicide Squad's bad reception is kind of like attacking the symptom of a disease rather than the cause of it. It's like Rotten Tomatoes isn't the enemy, DC fans, it's just the messenger here. But nonetheless, I do get the backlash to this petition. I really do. It was a stupid reaction to what was legitimate criticism of a film. But I do, like I said, I hate the way that certain media outlets have constructed an image of all comic book fans as nothing but immature whiners. At the time of writing, the petition has something like 22,000 signatures, which is a fraction of DC's overall fan base. But they're all tarring everyone with the same brush. All fans are just grown-up man babies that can't handle criticism. They all need to get a life. They're all immature. Like, I saw one where it was like, this proves that all DC fans are just white misogynists. And I was like, what? Where did misogyny come from? It became like an attack on fan culture because some people made this petition. And then all of a sudden we all are bad guys, apparently. And I do think it is one of those debates, like the Ghostbusters debate, where everyone came across as a bit nasty and a bit insecure. The fanboys can't handle criticism of a film that they may or may not have seen. And then, equally, the critics can't seem to handle criticism of their criticism. And I don't want to take sides in this debate particularly because I think everyone comes across as an asshole. But having said that, there is one thing that has annoyed me beyond belief, and this is what I've wanted to talk about for ages. Why the hell does anybody take Rotten Tomatoes as a site seriously? To me, it's indicative of what is wrong with how so many people approach film criticism. I can't count the amount of times I've clicked on YouTube reviews or listened to a podcast about a recent film only to hear people spouting percentages at each other as if it means anything. Yeah, well, my film has 88% on Rotten Tomatoes, whereas yours has 71%. Therefore, mine is better than yours. Great, what a great debate that was. That was just thought-provoking. Bravo, Ebert. Great. This is just amazing. This is scintillating discussion. And then, as well as that, basically what they're really saying is, I have no actual thoughts or original arguments, so instead here is a mathematical representation of what a particular demographic, critics, think of a film. It just results in message boards and YouTube comment sections where numbers are hurled around as weapons. It's like a fucking JRPG where people are just going like, yes, 28%. No, well, I counter with 30%. I counter with Metacritic 4.0. Brilliant. What are you doing? Like, I want to listen to people talk about films. I want to hear them make arguments, deconstruct elements of the film, analyze them, talk about the performances, not just sit there saying numbers. It's just bizarre. And like when I sit down to watch an episode of Movie Fights, I don't want to hear someone just reel off percentages in place of a debate. I want to hear people justify their opinions. I mean, it's fine to use critics as reference points, or even to get you thinking in different ways. Like, you can go on Rotten Tomatoes, see what other people think, and then engage with those thoughts and maybe watch the film again and think, oh, is there something to this? Maybe this is an interesting way of looking at a film. But why using it as an authority? Like it's the be-all and end-all. They're just people like you. Critics are just people. It's like, I'm gonna come up with a situation here. Imagine you find yourself in conversation with someone who dislikes a film that you happen to really admire. For the sake of argument, let's say that it's The Mummy 3, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. You love that film. Yes, you do. You love The Mummy 3. Now let's say you make a compelling point about that film's cinematography, about how it reflects the thematic content in the narrative, or maybe you say something about how the characters all undergo subtle character arcs and really evolve over the course of the film. It's a bit of a stretch, but we'll run with it. Now, you've thought about this for a long time. You've studied the film intensely. You've considered every frame, thought about how to best express your opinion. You've really put time and effort into coming up with your own original line of argument. how you can make this case, how you can sell someone that The Mummy 3 is actually good. And then what does the person you're debating with say? He says, yeah, well, it's got 12% on Rotten Tomatoes, so obviously the experts disagree. Great. Well, that's it. You've just expanded the boundaries of fucking film criticism right there. We can really open up new avenues for talking about cinema with that kind of attitude. Why do we even teach film courses anymore? The answers are all online. Why even bother watching films? Just go on Metacritic and go, that one's good. I know it's good because it has a high number on Metacritic. I'm not saying that Rotten Tomatoes doesn't have a purpose. It's fine for getting the general perception of a film, or maybe for adjusting your expectations for a hyped release. But it's not the word of God, which is what the people who hate Suicide Squad seem to take it as. Oh, the fanboys can't handle that the film is objectively bad, that's why there's this petition. No! Suicide Squad isn't objectively anything. It isn't good. It isn't bad. It's just a film. I don't even think the scores on Rotten Tomatoes make sense half the time. For a start, it doesn't take into account how much critics like something, just whether or not they do. It's either positive or negative, fresh or rotten. So a film that gets 3 stars across the board from reviewers could come out with a higher rating than something that might have provoked more polarizing and therefore passionate reactions. For example, did you know that Revenge of the Sith has the exact same score as Fight Club on Rotten Tomatoes? Yeah. Where's your God now? Then there's the occasion where the distinction between rotten and fresh is just plain confusing. I mean, I have an example here from the Suicide Squad page, okay? This is the Daily Express. They gave it 3 out of 5. That's rotten. I don't know how that's rotten, that's 3 out of 5, but if you go a bit further up, there's one here from the Huffington Post, 6 out of 10. Now, for you maths fans out there, you'll know that 6 out of 10 and 3 and 5 are the exact same fucking thing. So how can one be fresh and one be rotten? If we're going to be relying on fucking numbers to communicate evaluations of art, then maybe it should make some sense. It's just arbitrary. This whole process just reeks of people not being able to have confidence in their own opinions. Instead, they feel the need to reduce subjectivity and subjective thought into something quantifiable that they can win arguments with. So they don't ever have to stop and think, why do people not like this film? Why do people like this film? They don't have to stop and think. All they have to do is look at the number and then say good, bad, based on the number. Good, bad. 60, good. 40, bad. 70, good. Fucking 12, shit film. As long as we put all this emphasis on what these aggregate sites say, people will be less willing to challenge any consensus. I mean, after all, who's going to stand up for the fucking Legend of Tarzan when Rotten Tomatoes tells them that it's mathematically verified to be bad? I know the pure existence of these sites isn't killing film. I'm not crazy, I'm not going overboard, but people do place way too much stock in them. I mean, think about it. You've got films like Blade Runner that had negative reviews when they first came out, and since then people have dared to challenge that and dared to think outside the box, and all of a sudden that film is a cult classic. If that happened now, if Blade Runner came out now, no one would ever dare go back to Blade Runner, because they'd just be like, well, Rotten Tomatoes says it's 20%. Why would I watch a film that's 20% on Rotten Tomatoes? No, they wouldn't. They wouldn't care, because Rotten Tomatoes told them not to. Equally, I think people, it's fine to use it as a reference point. I mean, it has its purpose. I'm not attacking Rotten Tomatoes here, far from it. I want to make that clear. Rotten Tomatoes itself is not to blame. It's the way people use Rotten Tomatoes that's to blame. It has a purpose. The public aren't made of money, I'm not made of money, and I think that people should be able to look at Rotten Tomatoes and make an informed decision based on what other people think. You know, I don't want to spend my money on something everyone says is shit. I might not think it's shit when I see it. I can't use the fact that everyone else says it's shit to justify my own opinion, but, you know, at the end of the day, if I don't have that much money, I might gravitate towards the film with a higher Rotten Tomatoes score. That makes sense. People can use it for that, but they can't use it to make their arguments for them. They can't put that much faith on it. It's just numbers. I just wish everyone would stop taking it so seriously. I mean, if you're going to tell me that Suicide Squad is shit, or that The Red Balloon or The Godfather is a masterpiece, then tell me why. Don't give me a percentage, just tell me why. Because that's what's interesting. That's the problem as well. People don't actually even half the time read these reviews, they just look at the number. And the whole point of a reviewer's job is mainly to entertain. Don't be deluded into thinking they're the gatekeepers of quality, or that they're what they say goes, and that they make successful films successful, because they obviously don't, because Suicide Squad and Batman v Superman and Transformers, they all make a lot of money. So what people go to reviews for is for entertainment. So read them. Don't just look at the numbers. Read them or watch them or whatever. Because they're not just there to add to this conglomerate percentage. Anyway, that's my rant. I don't know if anyone agrees with me, if they think that I'm being a dick, but if you do, maybe drop a comment, talk about it, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not attacking Rotten Tomatoes. Rotten Tomatoes aren't to blame. It's the way people use Rotten Tomatoes. It's the way that, for example, the people in this petition thought that Rotten Tomatoes could make this film not successful. It's the way that the people on the other side of the argument went, haha, well, Rotten Tomatoes says it's shit, so you're wrong. It's the way that Rotten Tomatoes is used that I think is the problem. And not just Rotten Tomatoes, Metacritic, all of them. IMDb, the whole thing. Yeah. Anyway, sorry about that. My throat hurts a little. Thank you for listening if you made it this far. Well done to you. Bye-bye.